Just before we get into today's video, let me share with you a little secret. You know those Saturday morning cartoons that you all loved as kids? Well, along with that, always went cereal. At least for me, and probably you. Look, everyone had cereal watching cartoons on Saturday morning. That was the thing. But cereal's not the healthiest thing in the world, is it? Unless it's Magic Spoon. You see, here's what Magic Spoon do. They take cereal and they make it with 0 grams of sugar. They make it with 4 grams of net carbs. They make it with 14 grams of protein. I started going to the gym this year, and it means apparently I need to have more protein in my diet. So I was eating Magic Spoon before, but now I eat Magic Spoon feeling like I'm getting the protein that I need, which is nice. It's keto friendly, it's gluten free, it's grain free, 0 cane sugar or any artificial nonsense. Plus, there's more. The variety pack is a taste sensation. Fruited, frosted, cocoa, and my personal favorite, peanut butter. I just have boxes and boxes of this stuff because Magic Spoon sponsors me, and I'm like, just send me more peanut butter. I mean, the others are great. Like this one was the chocolate chip one, and my kids love the chocolate chip one. And the birthday cake flavor, my daughter goes nuts for. But peanut butter's my favorite, closely followed by Honey Graham right now, which is this one. And what's this? Honey Nut. Have I tried Honey Nut yet? I don't think I've even tried Honey Nut yet, but I do love that unnamed other cereal, which is super famous. I can't mention competitor brands, but you know the one I'm talking about. If you have it in America as much as we do in the UK, it's like circular and is delicious. I bet that is going to be delicious as well. And not horrible for you. For me, Magic Spoon means reliving my childhood without the guilt. Wholesome, sugar-free ingredients. It's an investment in my well-being. Plus, it keeps me full all morning. So what are you waiting for? There's a link below, or you can go to magicspoon.com/shadows and grab your variety pack. Use the promo code SHADOWS for a sweet $5 off. And guess what? Magic Spoon's so confident in the project, they've got a 100% happiness guarantee. No risk, just deliciousness. Thank you to Magic Spoon. And now back to today's video. Few things in life are as wonderful and momentous as the birth of your children. Parents share in the happiness that comes from watching their kids grow up, one birthday, one milestone at a time. But not everyone gets to collect scrapbooks of baby photos and watch the height marks on the doorframe climb. Because if your child randomly gets the genetic mutation for progeria, they'll develop one of the rarest, incurable diseases on Earth. And you won't even realize it until months after they're born. So, progeria, known as Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome, is an extremely rare genetic condition that causes rapid premature aging. It most commonly is detected in children between 18 and 24 months old. Children with progeria have bodies that grow over days instead of years. They age so fast that by the time they're 3 years old, they look like miniature versions of a frail, bald 90-year-old. Progeria was first observed back in 1886. Since then, hundreds of individuals have been recorded in medical journals with the syndrome. As of December 2022, the Progeria Research Foundation reports currently 212 people in 51 countries are living with the disease. Now, the good news is progeria is still extremely rare, even among those who carry the gene. That's because it's a condition that needs a very specific set of circumstances for rapid aging to occur, and scientists are not clear yet on what exactly triggers it. Your chances of getting it are around 1 in 4 to 8 million, that's 0.000025%. That stat only jumps higher if you're born into a family that already produced a child with progeria. So if your older sister was born with it, there's a 2 to 3% chance that you're going to develop it too. Most children born with the disease die from strokes or heart attacks caused by their strained cardiovascular systems before their mid-teens, with the average lifespan hovering around 14. If the condition happens later in life, rapid aging symptoms start fast, and your risk factors for injury, heart failure, and cancer soar as your life expectancy plummets. So, babies that are born with the condition are generally born without any symptoms, but there are a few telltale signs that may occur. Doctors have described infants born with abnormally tight and shiny skin from the upper thighs to mid-torso. This usually coincides with an uncharacteristically thin and pointy nose and/or a bluish tint to their skin and mucous membrane. But it is entirely possible that a baby will show no symptoms until 9 to 24 months of age, when progeria hits hard, stunting growth, killing hair follicles, and changing the structure of the face and the head. In the first 2 years of life, the face changes, caused by underdevelopment in the face and jawbones. Features appear to collect in the center of the child's face, making their skulls seem abnormally large in comparison. The eyes may appear strained or bulbous, eyelashes, eyebrows, and all other hair on the face stops growing and begins to die at the root. The nose, if not already underdeveloped, becomes smaller and sharper. The lips become thin. Ears remain abnormally small, and earlobes may disappear altogether. Teeth either fall out or grow misaligned and weak. The skin loses its softness and begins to wrinkle, becoming more akin to the thinner skin of an elderly person, easily bruising and revealing prominent veins. Hair growth on the scalp also halts, and any hair that existed before the disease took hold falls out. Hair on the head might be replaced with the occasional thin wisps of white or light blonde, but most people with progeria lose all body hair. Height and weight stop increasing, body fat under the skin disappears, and weight retention is all but impossible. The child's frame becomes incredibly frail, and sometimes the collarbones develop poorly, causing narrow shoulders and a pear-shaped chest. The stomach can also appear to be swollen. The bones are easily fractured, especially their limbs, which are abnormally thin and poorly padded without fat or muscle. Few patients ever reach a height of 4 feet, that's 1.2 meters, unless the disease becomes active later in life. But even those who had a childhood free of active progeria tend to remain smaller and weaker compared to their peers. It is a horrifying disease that steals time, but only in the body, because unlike natural aging, progeria leaves the mind free from senility and dementia. Children born with the condition experience little to no trouble with comprehension and memory, keeping up when it comes to normal learning and brain development. Now, progeria happens when a rare mutation in your cells tricks the body into thinking it's a lot older than it actually is. The body begins to produce excessive amounts of progerin, a protein that breaks down the cell's walls, leaving the DNA inside vulnerable to damage way ahead of schedule. The body races through the aging process in response to catch up, convinced the body is farther along in its lifespan than it really is. To better explain the science here, if you haven't taken high school biology in a while, just remember that cells are the smallest units of life. They're what make up all living organisms. And a cell has 3 main parts: the membrane that protects it, the nucleus that contains our DNA, and the cytoplasm swirling around inside it that holds everything together. Progeria attacks that outer membrane, breaking down the cell's framework and leaving the DNA inside your nucleus vulnerable to disease and decay. That's why toddlers with the disease look like a miniature version of your grandparents. Their brand new cells, the base unit of life, already looks and performs like that of an old person. This cell damage resembles the natural aging process because that's what aging is. Our cells slowly breaking down, signaling the changes that come with getting older. Usually it takes a couple of decades to start that process, but children with progeria are born with that breakage already occurring, 50 or so years earlier than it should. Now, while the majority of reported cases occur in infants, there is also a form of late-onset progeria, also known as Werner's syndrome. It is the same disease, but given a different name because it affects an adult population dealing with issues that infants and children don't experience, like fertility complications and rapidly forming cataracts. Werner starts attacking anywhere from the late teens to the late 30s. Because of the older body, adults with late-onset progeria start to experience hereditary diseases their bodies are destined for a lot faster than normal. By their 20s, arteries harden, cataracts form, along with issues such as diabetes, strokes, osteoporosis, and several types of cancer. Individuals that develop progeria later in life are usually already living with bodies that have been fighting off the mutation for quite some time with varying levels of success. That may mean they're shorter than average, experience early thinning and graying of hair, and develop unusual facial features and skin damage. As the adult with progeria ages internally, so does their external body. Adults that may have already started dropping weight from the loss of body fat also begin to lose muscle mass. Their skin's color and texture changes. They may experience frequent ulcers, bruising, weakened bone structure, and even changes in their voice, which can become higher pitched. Now, if any of this is making you nervous because you're short, thin, or bald sooner in life than you'd prefer, don't sweat it. You only need to start worrying about progeria when those gradual signs of weakness and aging no longer remain gradual and your body's bones, muscle, skin, and systems begin to decline at a breakneck pace. Adults with the condition seem to age from 30 to 80 in just a few short years after losing their hair and teeth. So, what about treatment? Well, as recently as November 2020, the FDA approved a branded drug called Zokinvy, which is a type of inhibitor therapy used for cancer to treat people with progeria. It's the first drug approved to treat the disease, a product of years of clinical trials made up mostly of children in the progeria community volunteering as test subjects. So far, Zokinvy has helped slow the decay for over 90 people since 2007. The average increase in life expectancy is only about 2 years, but it is the most progress made in the disease's history, and advocates remain hopeful that even better inhibitors will reach the market soon. However, you might want to get in on a clinical trial because in the United States, 30 capsules of the drug costs $24,508 for families who don't have insurance. There is no generic version available as of yet, and black market substitutes have been known to be fraudulent. So, while the disease is terrifying and the cure seems impossible, individuals with progeria are some of the most optimistic and kind people you can imagine. Children raised knowing they'll probably never get to grow up and lead normal lives, still playing with their siblings, dancing with their parents, learning to play instruments, and enjoying their favorite sports and movies like any other kids. You can follow patients' joys and struggles on YouTube and in-depth interviews on talk shows. Some patients even shared that they were even grateful for the disease, making everything in life matter now and completely. So what I want to do is introduce you to 2 people living with progeria and how they're making a difference every day, living their best lives while they can, and also educating the public. Tiffany Wedekind of Ohio, age 45, is believed to be the oldest living person with adult-onset progeria and is passionate about sharing her story. Diagnosed at 38, she's still passionately pursuing her art, business, and hobbies despite living with a body that's well past her actual age. She told People magazine to quote, "I knew very early that something was different about me, but I just wanted to live my life and be like everybody else." Tiffany always knew that something was off about her. She'd always been smaller than her friends as a toddler, but not drastically so. As a child, she played softball and took dance lessons. As she grew up, she realized she wasn't the same height and weight as her schoolmates, but she was still active in school activities and enjoyed a normal teenage social life. There were always signs something was wrong. Her growth stopped progressing normally by age 10, and as a preteen, her height and weight halted at 4'5" and 58 pounds, that's 1.4 meters, 26 kilograms. And she knew before she entered high school that something was wrong, but she remained undiagnosed. When Tiffany reached her early 20s, she knew something far more serious was happening with her body than just being a lot shorter and skinnier than her friends. She was going bald. Her teeth started to fall out. Her older brother, Chad, who was also small for his age, had also started suffering the same symptoms, only much worse, as he was already suffering from heart and bone complications. Both siblings were given a series of genetic tests for the root cause, and both tested positive for progeria. At 45, her life is still independent, but she deals with heart disease, arthritis, and painful calcification in her joints. Her heart's valves are quickly narrowing, and so she's on constant alert for a heart attack, which is how her brother passed away at age just 39. She wears wigs and dentures and mostly survives off a liquid diet. Despite her disability and the loss of her brother, she's actively creating art, making soy candles in her home business, and she's grateful for a daily yoga practice that keeps her body flexible and as healthy as possible. Her optimism, in the face of a badly dealt hand, remains inspiring. And then there's Sammy Basso of Tese sul Brenta in Italy, who's aged 26. They're the longest living person with progeria. Having been born with the disease, he's blown past his 14-year life expectancy. Basso speaks publicly about his disease, bringing attention to the worldwide medical community while working towards a cure. And that's boots on the ground working, because Sammy's actively researching the disease as a scientist, having earned his degree from the University of Padua in molecular biology. He even put off some open heart surgery to not miss any studying. Sammy has dedicated his life to progeria outreach and education, including lots of media interviews and his own TED Talk. He also wrote a book, The Journey of Sammy, about a road trip he took along Route 66 while spending time in the US partaking in clinical trials. He even made sure to stop by Roswell, New Mexico, and convince the women at the museum gift shop that he was an alien. Sammy feels that any studies involving premature aging are valuable, especially in his home country of Italy, where the median age is 47. Living in a country with an older population, he felt Italian scientists would rally to learn more about how to stop the effects of rapid aging. And he was right, and founded the Italian association Progeria Sammy Basso. It's one of only 2 research organizations in the world for the disease. Sammy's active in the scientific community and has since completed his PhD. And today I want to leave you with these words from him. The thing I would like them to learn by my experience is that their life is important. They can be helpful for the world.